Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda and this is my channel, Her Pacific Northwest Washington Life, and it is now the end of June, which means it is the end of the second quarter of the year, and I wanted to do another check-in with how I'm progressing in my yearly goals that I set for 2020 at the end of this quarter. I did this as well for the end of quarter one, so if you'd like to see that video, I will probably link it on the end screen, but also I can do that in the description box below. So I've got my notes here. I'll be looking down at my sheet to tell you what this quarter has looked like. So for me, the second quarter is April, May, and June. So we already did January, February, March. Now we're looking at the next 3 months. So the first goal I had for myself was to read 100 books. This is what I have set my Goodreads goal as. And I read 35 books this quarter, so I am up to a total of 60 books, which as of today means I am 11 books ahead of my schedule, which is great because I do plan to get back into school. August 1st is when my start date is scheduled for. And that means I am going to have less time in the evenings for reading since I will be doing schoolwork. So it's great that I'm ahead of schedule, but also if I'm able to keep up with my current reading rate per month, that also means I'll get extra books checked off my list than what I had originally planned for the 100 that I planned for. My next 3 goals are all associated with getting different TBRs down. So I counted at the end of 2019 how many unread books I had on Audible, Kindle, and on my shelves behind me. So these are totals that I had prior to 2020 starting, and I had a goal of reading a certain number of unread books from each of these TBRs prior to the year starting. And I'm not doing as well with this goal as I had intended because I have been doing a lot of rereads in order to accomplish another goal that's down the list. So out of the 62 owned Kindle books I had, I wanted to read at least 25 of them. And this quarter I read 7, so I am at a total of 10 out of 25 now. Of the 75 owned Kindle books that I had at the start of 2020, I wanted to read 25 as well. I've read 5 this quarter, so I am at 9 out of 25. And of the 155 physical unread books that I own, I wanted to try and read 50. I only read 6 this quarter, so I am at a total of 13 out of 50. I've definitely read a lot more of my physical books mostly, but like I said, a lot of them were rereads, so they didn't count towards getting that unread number down. As far as genres and age ranges, I didn't read any middle grade books this quarter. I read 20 young adult, I read 4 new adult, and 11 adult. I thought my adult count was higher, but I guess I've read a lot more young adult than I had anticipated, which is fine. And then in the way of genres, I read 5 contemporary, 23 fantasy, 2 fiction, 3 historical fiction, 1 manga, 1 memoir, and that looks like that's it. So you can see what the favorite genre is there for sure. It's definitely manga and memoir. No, I am a fantasy reader year-round. It's my genre of choice, and it's the one that I prefer to read. And I don't feel like I really need to diversify my reading in genres because I read to escape. And so if I'm gonna escape, I'd rather escape into a fantasy world instead of like the real world. And then the goal that has kind of held me back from getting my unread TBR down is this next goal. So I had 12 series that I think I also did a video on this of 12 series I have started that are finished that I want to read. And out of those 12 series, I wanted to get at least 6 of those finished by the end of this year. So at the end of quarter 1, I hadn't read any yet, but I had progressed in 7 of them. And at the end of quarter 2, I've actually finished 4 of those series, and I've progressed in 5 others. So I think there are 2 series that I have 1 book left in each of those to finish. So I should probably by the end of July be able to check off those 6 series from my list. I also wanted to visit 30 new places in books. My friend bought me a scratch map, and I already have one. I actually bought Skylar, Maddie, and myself the same map, one for each of us, so we could scratch off all the places we've been. And then that same year for Christmas, my friend bought me a smaller one. And I was originally going to use it for the places that she and I visited together, but I thought it might be a bit more fun to use for tracking the different places I visit while reading. So I have visited 11 new places this quarter, so I am now at 26. And it's definitely US and kind of North America and European heavy, but I am starting to get a little more into the Southern Hemisphere, so it'll be great to see what I'll be able to accomplish and what places I'll be able to visit with the next quarter. And then the last prompts I have, or last goals I guess, are some different reading challenges. So one that I'm participating in is the Harry Potter and the Order of the Planners Flourish and Blots Facebook group book club. It is the Wizarding World Tour, so this is to visit the 8 different magical schools that are spread throughout the world. And in order to in order to visit a school, you have to read all 7 prompts. So that means there's 56 total. Is that right? 8 times 7, 56? I think that's right. So I was very close to finishing a couple of the schools at the end of quarter 1, but I had just a couple more prompts left to read. So I have officially visited Durmstrang, Hogwarts, and Ilvermorny now. And I think when you hit 3, that's when you hit the first, I guess, tier. So I am officially a Triwizard champion. But this past quarter, I read 4 more prompts in the Bobatons category, so I've got 1 left. I read 1 for Castleborough, so I've got 1 left. I've read a total of 6 now in both of those, so 1 left for each. For Koldostoy, or I can never pronounce this one, it's the Russian one. I read 3 more prompts this quarter, so I've got 5 total, which means I have 2 left. For Mahutukoro, I read 3 more prompts, so I read 3 last quarter, so I'm at a total of 6, so I've got 1 left. And same for Ugadao, 3 and 3, so I've got 1 left for that. I also wanted to try and finish all 50 of the Pop Sugar reading prompts for 2020, and I read another 10 this quarter. This I don't think I'm going to continue to do the Pop Sugar reading challenge in like next year and beyond. The prompts are decent. They're tricky, and I'm not the type of person to pick a book based off of a prompt, just because I've got so many books that I already want to get to. So when I read, I finish reading the book and then I'll go look at the prompts and see if it fit any of those. So I've got 32 down, which means I've got 18 left. We'll see if I'm able to check them off. It's been quite a few books since I've been able to actually check off a prompt. I'm also a part of another book club on Facebook, which is the Creating & Co book club. And Paige, who is the founder, put out a yearly challenge, as well as we're up to 2. There will be 4 seasonal challenges. If you can hear that whistling, that's the wind coming through my AC that's in the window right there. It's a little windy out. So for the yearly challenge, there were 50 prompts total. I read 13 more prompts this quarter, so I'm at 26, which means I have 4 left. And then for the seasonal challenges, I wanted to do these within seasons, and if I didn't finish all the prompts, then I just wouldn't check off anymore. So for spring, for me, that is March, April, and May. I read 9 more prompts in April and May, which would have been this quarter, which finished out all 15 prompts then for the spring challenge. And then summer for me is June, July, and August, so obviously I didn't read any last quarter. And at the end of June, so the first month of this summer season for me, but the last month of this quarter, I read 11 of the prompts, so I have 4 left to go. We haven't gotten the prompts yet for fall or winter, which doesn't matter because those don't fall within this quarter anyway. So overall, I'd say I'm doing pretty well on my reading goals. I am really happy with what I've been able to accomplish these first 6 months of the year, though I definitely want to make more of a focus on getting my TBR, my unread TBR down, which I think I'll be able to do now that I am pretty much caught up on all of my rereads for the series that I had started that I needed a refresher on before I could finish the series. So I think this next year, these next 6 months, I'll be able to drive down those unread TBRs quite a bit more, or at least that's the plan. So I would love to know how you are doing on your reading goals for the year, if you set any at the beginning of 2020. I'd also love to know if we have any similar goals and what those are, and like I said, just how you're doing. So if you feel so inclined, please do let me know down in the comments below, and I will chat with you there until my next video. Bye!